So this is a very long and meticulous guide on how you can prompt GPT 4.1 according to OpenAI. Now, this is not only relevant for GPT 4.1. You can basically apply the same technique based on this instruction to other AI models. You can apply this to GPT 4.0 or maybe GPT 5 in the future. And of course, you can apply the same technique on other AI models like Gemini, Cloud, Mistral, Perplexity, and so many others, because after all, they are large language models, so the way they work are practically the same, and you can always learn something from this document even though you are using a different AI model or using something that is not coming from ChatGPT or OpenAI. So this document is quite long, and I don't think everyone is willing to read something like this. So this video will show you the easiest way to remember the instruction or the guide based on this document, and hopefully by the end of the video you can learn something from it, and then you can apply it when you're working or prompting with AI. And of course, if any one of you is willing to read this document, I'm going to leave the link in the video description so you can learn more about it. And maybe due to the nature of the summary video, there's going to be some missing details that I cannot include in the video to keep it as concise as possible. So I'm going to show you the easiest way or the structure that you must include in the prompt, and then later I'm going to show you one example based on the structure. So without further ado, let me show you how you can memorize, or I'll show you the structure and also the example after that. All right. So this is the structure of the prompt. This is pyramid because at the very top it's very important. At the bottom it is not important. Actually, it is still important, but let's say less important than the one that is at the very top. In fact, it is actually possible to just include one element. Like you could include just this role and objective and ditch the rest. It is a possibility, although it's not great, but it is quite possible. Now, the level number one, or the top level, is the role and objective. So you have to tell AI the role that it must pretend to, and the objective, and role and objective must be relevant. For example, if you want to do a research about city planning, then the role must be city planner. If you want to research about computer components, then the role must be computer expert or PC builder or something like that. So they must be in union. And then on the next level, there is detailed instruction. This is, well, basically these detailed instructions about what AI must do given that we have provided the role and objective. And then there is output format. This is specifically talking about what kind of output or response that AI must generate based on the instruction and the role and objective. And then here on the next level, there is output example. Now this one is actually optional because you don't have to include that if the output format, instruction, and role are pretty clear. But sometimes AI might not always follow your instruction very well, so you have to provide an example about what is the output that it must generate. So you could provide an example. You don't have to provide the same output, but you can provide one element of the output that AI might be struggling with. One example is when you're asking AI to generate a link, it's usually struggling to create a link. So you might want to create or to add HTML format into the prompt so AI will understand the exact format that you are expecting AI to generate. And then lastly, there is final instructions. This is actually quite important, even though it is at the bottom, but this is going to be the one that seals the deal. So if you have everything right, and if you say something wrong in the final instructions, then everything will go wrong. And this is where you can add something like negative prompting, or maybe you can tell AI to avoid doing something, or you have to emphasize, or you can emphasize AI to include, let's say when it's doing research, to include source from a document or from a website. That's where you can include that on the final instructions. So this is the structure, and actually mark the letter with the red color so you can actually see that is RODO again, and then F and I. That's just making it easy to remember. So the final word is going to be sorry about that. RODOOFI. That's the way to remember it. The abbreviation of this prompting structure, there is role and objective, and then there is also detailed instruction, there is also output format, and then output example. Although it is possible to just remove one O, it's becoming RODOFI. It's totally okay, but in this case I want it to be complete, so RODOFI, and then F and I is final instructions. That's the simplest way to memorize it. RODOFI. Okay, so let me give you one example based on that structure. There is role and objective. You are an expert research assistant. Your task is to conduct an in-depth internet research study on the impact of electric bicycle in urban environments. That's the role and objective. And then this is the instruction. It's very long and very detailed. It could be even longer than this, and I actually prompt a lot, and this is actually very short. I could create a detailed instruction for maybe 500 or 600 words just for the instruction, which is crazy, but it is possible. And then the output format, this is what the response that AI must create. And just to be sure, you can always provide output example. And then lastly, there is final instructions. This is actually quite simple. Like you can add something like ensure the research is comprehensive, well-cited, and clearly organized, use plain language, suitable for policymakers and urban planners, etc. So this is one example. And by the way, I'm going to provide all the resources in the video description. So if you want to learn more, you can check it out. And that's basically the simplest way to learn to memorize the structure that OpenAI has provided based on this document. So if you found this video to be useful, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Have a great day.